Yeah, welcome back. Linda, welcome back.
Okay, that was good. So can you enable me to share my screen again and I'll show you the video?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I did it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so there's the video and I'm going to play it kind of fast. So it's going to be like twice as fast as normal. And I'll explain what's happening. So this is in my classroom. And this is a face model right here. And in the spray bottle is some bacteria. So that's what I have set up here. And I'll fast forward a little bit maybe. Okay, so I'm measuring the distance from this red rack to the face model. And then I put a Petri dish on the rack there. And I put the spray bottle in the back of the model and I have a hole. So I was spraying bacteria through the face model onto the Petri dish. So hopefully you can see that there's bacteria that's landing on the Petri dish and it'll grow. And then I put a mask on the model. So I wanted to know if the mask would prevent the bacteria from landing on the dish. And I did 3 different times for each type of mask. So there's another type of mask. This is the type that I usually use. It's called a KN95. And then I tried a cloth mask. So this is just made out of cloth and it's very thin. And then the last one was called a gator. And we have a lot of students who use these, but I don't think they're very good. So I wanted to test that to see if it blocked the bacteria. So that was the last one that we did. And you can see that it's wet and some of the bacteria went through that mask really easily. Okay, so then I cleaned up and I put them in this incubator. And this is also in my classroom. I have really nice equipment. And I am able to put the plates in there, so you can see them in there, and they are heated over time, and that's how the bacteria grows. And I also have the bacteria growing in liquid, and then I have it over here in these flasks. That's where I grow the bacteria to use in the spray bottle. So that was the experiment, and I have the results from it to show you what the growth of the bacteria looked like. Do you all have any questions so far about the experiment?
Yeah, I would like to ask, I would like to invite some of the students. And Nagesai, do you have any questions regarding this experiment? Nagesai, I think you have been following this experiment for quite some time. So do you have any questions regarding this experiment? Sahiti, do you have any questions regarding this experiment? Anyone else? Yes, Navya.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Are there any causes or effect when we use N19 masks?
Are there any causes
or effects when we use N19 mask, N95 mask?
So those are probably the best masks that we can use to prevent against the virus. And that's because they have a lot of layers, but they also fit really closely around the face. So they don't let any air around the mask. The other ones are kind of looser, so they let a lot of air through the mask. So the N95s are the best ones. I don't have any. It's really hard to get them in the United States. I can only get the KN95s, and those are also really good. And the medical professionals need the N95s. That's what they wear. So we wear the other ones so that we are taking them from the doctors.
Does N95 mask cause any problem when we breathe?
I don't think so. There are doctors who wear them all day and they don't cause any problems. I wear the KN95 mask all day, which was the white one. I'll show you the picture. I wear that one all day.
Okay.
in my classroom, and it doesn't cause any problems. And it's really easy to talk, and I can talk loudly through it, and my students can hear me.
Mama, I have you another doubt about this experiment. Can I ask it?
Yes. You guys be quiet. Yes.
Ma'am, which type of mask is mostly protected from bacteria?
Well, I can show you do you want to see what it looks like when the bacteria grew on the plates? You want to see those pictures? I can show you that way. I'll go to this picture. I did a couple extra experiments. This is one where I didn't put any spray. I did not spray with bacteria, and that's called a negative control. I wanted to make sure that my plates were clean and that it wasn't just bacteria growing. So that those show that I didn't have any bacteria. And then this is the one that I sprayed with no mask. Can you see all that bacteria on there growing?
Yes.
So this is with no mask, and then I'll show you some of the other masks and you can compare. This is the KN95, and you can see one little bacteria right there. Do you see that one bacterial cell? But otherwise it blocked all of the bacteria, all three times. So that's the KN95, those are good masks. And then the surgical mask also just had one bacteria right here, one colony. Otherwise, that blocked all the bacteria. This one looks kind of dirty, but it's just cold. It just has crystals on it. This, yes. Go ahead. Did you have a question?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Go ahead, Linda. Go ahead.
Okay. This one's the gator. Do you see all the bacteria from the gator? Can you see all those different colonies? So the gator let a lot of bacteria through. And then last one was the cloth mask. The cloth mask also let a lot of bacteria through. So the best two were the surgical mask, that one, and the KN95. Those were about the same. And I also used a computer program to count how many colonies there were. So this is one way that I can measure to see which one's better. I clicked with my mouse and then it counted it for me. And then I made a table of the data. So this is the data I got of how many bacterial colonies. The no mask had the most. The KN95 actually had one, so that's wrong. The surgical just had one. And then the cloth and the gator, so you can see how many colonies they had. I graphed those points on a graph. So I put all of the points. The 1 here is the no mask. The 2 is the KN95. The 3 is the surgical mask. 4 is cloth. 5 is gator. So you can kind of see where that is. And then to make this easier to look at, we can take the average.
Mama, look at this.
Just a second, Lucas. This is what the average looks like. So those are the average between the 3 masks that I tested. And this is the average number here that you probably learn about in math, right? So that's the average of the numbers. And then I graphed them using a bar graph. And then I also used a box and whisker plot, which you might learn about in math too. This middle bar is the average, and then it shows the whole range of data. So it shows that whole spread of what all the different points were. This is the KN95, this is surgical, this is cloth, and this is the gator. So you can see that spread of data. And then I also did a statistics test on this to see if they were different, and they were. So this value right here, if that value is less than 0.05, then they are significantly different. So I found that they were. And I did another analysis on it, and I found that the no mask was significantly different from the KN95, the surgical, and the cloth, but that the gator and the no mask were not different. So that's what that analysis showed me. And then I wrote my results. So this is what I would write for results. I would say that I rejected my null hypothesis, And then I would explain that there were differences between the masks and how many colonies each mask had. So I kind of explained that in my results there. And then I would write my conclusion. And my conclusions showed that the surgical and the KN95 were the best, but that the cloth mask also was different from the control, and the cloth mask also blocked some of the bacteria. But it would be better if you wore the KN95 or the cloth mask. So that was the experiment that I did. And that's what we learned. And I had a lot of students do this experiment too on their own, and they all did it in different ways. And they all pretty much learned the same thing.
Yeah, that's really wonderful to watch.
Do you have any questions?
That's really wonderful to watch, and I think you have done a really marvelous job, especially during this period of pandemic. I think many people actually have the many apprehensions regarding the masks that they have to wear when they go out. Even in India also we have many apprehensions, and we have many doubts which mask is the safest one, which mask is not safest one. So yes, during the period, I think we bought many masks, and still we are using the cloth mask. And this experiment really has showcased how dangerous it is to wear the cloth mask compared to the other two sophisticated masks like KN95. So definitely it's going to be a good lesson for my students. What should they have to do in case if the second wave creates a lot of devastation in India? We are expecting second wave. I think today, as of now, I think India is doing well in my region also. But if the second wave happens to hit in this part of India, I think we have to wear the KN95, maybe surgical mask. I think these are the two masks I think most productive. And Linda, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
So the bacteria that we actually the pandemic, if you compare the India with the United States of America, so there is a lot of variation you can see. In India, I think it started in the way back to March, and slowly the cases maybe fell down, slowed down in India. By the end of November, I think no cases are being reported in India. So what's the main reason? What reason you think is the cases is slowing down in India, and the no development or no improvement in United States of America? What must be the reason as per your analysis as a science teacher? Should it be the herd immunity, or should it be the weather conditions? Should it be the food? And what must be the reason you think, according to you?
Lucas was making noise, so I couldn't hear very well. But were you asking why the cases went down?
Because people started wearing no
In India?
Yeah, India.
Yeah, and I've been watching your numbers too. I watch the United States every day, and I look at India also because I know you. I don't know if I can answer that. I don't think it's because of herd immunity. I don't think that anywhere has reached that yet. In fact, in Brazil, there was a town that they thought had herd immunity. They thought about 75% of the people had it. And then one of the new mutants infected, that's actually where one of the mutants probably started, the new variations, and then it exploded again. So I wonder if it's because, like for here, when a local town has a lot of cases, then people stop having parties, they stop having big events with a lot of people. So I wonder if that might be why, or they start wearing masks, because a lot of people here don't wear masks. But then when, like here in our little tiny town, there were probably 15 people that were flown out on helicopters to get to a big hospital. When that started happening, when people heard the helicopters above us, that's when people started taking it seriously. But it wasn't, people were not taking it seriously before that. So maybe that's why, but I don't think that we've reached herd immunity anywhere. And even if we have, the new variants are really dangerous and you'll still get them.
Yeah. So Linda, we have to conclude this session, and before we conclude this session, and let me see if my students have any questions regarding any one of their doubts. Students, do you have any questions still regards to your favorite subjects like biology and chemistry? And we are lucky, we are so lucky today to have Linda with us because she
Was it?
really did a marvel. Yes, yes, thank you.
Yes, sir, can I pose a question?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, did you know about sir, scientists Landau experiment?
Can you say that again?
Did you know about sir, scientists Landau experiment?
Is that a name?
Landau, a scientist.
Sahithi, if you don't mind, could you please text his name in the chat box so that we can read it and we can check it, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
And Linda, Linda, could you please give a final message to our students?
What did
Final
you say?
message to my students.
Oh,
Could you give a final message?
yeah. So I think that if some of you are interested in science, I think the best way to learn more about it is to do science and set up some experiments like the one that I showed you. And that's how you can really learn how science works and how to do it. And it can get you more interested in science. And then it makes it easier to learn the stuff that you're learning in class, in science class. It makes it easier if you
Yes. Rohita, mute yourself, microphone. Yes, please.
Sir, I have another question.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, please.
How neutrons and protons are formed?
How are they what?
Yes, ma'am. How neutrons and protons are formed?
Are formed? Oh boy.
Yes.
So I can answer how neutrons are formed. I'm not sure I know how protons are formed. But neutrons can be formed through beta decay, radioactive beta decay. And so what happens is an electron, so a proton is actually made of a neutron and an electron together. And so during one type of radioactive decay, that electron can come off of the proton. So a proton can turn into a neutron. And you'll have a neutron left. But I don't know how protons are made. That's a really good question.
Okay.
Ma'am, I have one question.
Any more
Can I ask?
Yes?
Why the respiratory tract is moist and warm?
Why the what is moist and warm?
Why the respiratory tract is moist and warm?
Oh, that's a good question. Why? I'm gonna guess. So moist, warm air can hold more. No, that's not it. I think it protects our cells. So our lung tissue needs to be moist. So it protects those cells from damage. If they get cold or dry, they can get damaged. That's probably the reason why. And it also might prevent us from getting microbes in us. So it probably can allow our tissues from the mucus to like catch some of the microbes, so that we don't become infected. So that might be why. That's a really good question though. I never really thought about why.
Ma'am, I have other question.
Okay.
Can I ask it?
Yes.
Why the arteries are deeply seated?
Why they're what?
Why arteries are deeply seated?
Does that mean why they're thick? Why arteries are thicker?
Why the arteries are deeply seated in our body?
Deeply seated, so like why they're deeper inside of us? Is that
Yes,
what you?
ma'am.
Okay. So your main arteries, the arteries are the blood vessels that take blood away from the heart to the body or to the lungs. And they probably need to be deeper in your body so that they can, so the main ones are going to be deeper, kind of like a bigger river, and then they're going to branch off into smaller arteries. So they probably need to be deep so that they can like distribute the blood to other parts of the body. And they're also thicker, so they have thicker walls than the veins because they have to withstand more pressure. When the blood is going away from the heart, it's at really high pressure and there's a lot of force. So the walls have to be a lot thicker. And then the veins are a lot thinner.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do you have any questions? Kusma. Kusma, do you have any questions? We are coming almost close to the session. Almost close to end the session. Kusma, do you have any questions? Still?
Sir, I have a last question.
Yes, please. Yes, Kusma, ask first. Sahiti, I will come back to you. Let us give the chance to Kusma, and she is going to ask a question. Kusma, go ahead and ask the question.
Yes, sir. Hi, ma'am. My name is Kusma. Can I ask one question?
Yes.
The importance of biodiversity in natural ecosystems.
Oh, that's a really good question. So we need a lot of different organisms in an ecosystem to keep it healthy. And what happens is sometimes like one organism will have a disease and will die off, and that can affect the whole ecosystem. So we need to have a lot of different organisms so that the ecosystem won't be changed very easily. That's one reason. And there are other reasons why we should keep things diverse. Like we don't want to make any organisms become extinct. We want to make sure that all organisms can continue living, and we don't want to cause that. So that's kind of another reason why we try to preserve biodiversity.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Sahiti, it's your turn now. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Ma'am, a long period of thinking of my brain. I thought, what is the base of sun?
What is the what?
What is the base of sun? In our world, the solar energy is converted into so many energies, but the sun is, what is the base of sun?
Like, where does the energy come from?
Yeah.
Okay, so the sun is it's a medium-sized star. And so to make energy, it comes from the fusion of hydrogen and it turns into helium. When it does that, it produces energy. So you have two hydrogen atoms and they fuse and become helium, which is the next biggest one. So that's where the energy comes from in the sun. And so the hydrogen is kind of the fuel, and then the helium is sort of the product. And bigger stars use other elements. They use elements that are bigger than iron to make their fuel, that are heavier than iron. You had a question about that earlier. What were some of the heavier elements? And they actually can make elements like gold and silver. Those are the bigger stars, like really big stars. Our star only makes helium.
Ma'am, why is the only sun but is star is only special in all stars?
Why is our sun special? Is that what the question was? Our sun is, sorry, go ahead.
Is there any like stars like the sun?
Yeah, there are other, yes. There are stars like the sun, and they are looking at those to see if there are planets that have life on them. Yeah, there are lots and lots of stars like our sun. It's just like a normal average star. It's not really that special.
Yeah. When the sun we saw in the sky, the sun only round in shape, but other stars will only other shapes. Why?
Yeah, they look other shapes to us, but they're still round, just like our sun. Our sun looks round because it's closer to us. but the other ones are also round.
But sun is only in yellow, but other stars why will in white?
What did you say?
The sun star is in yellow color, but why other stars will in white in color?
Oh, other stars can be different colors. So they can be anything from red, they can be white, yellow, orange, blue, and it depends on how hot they are and what chemicals they're burning.
Okay, ma'am.
Linda, thank you so much for sparing your valuable time. I think it has almost been 1 hour since we started the session. Still, my students are keep asking you as many questions as possible because they think that they have found a good scientist, maybe a science teacher in you. So that's why they are so curious to ask as many questions as possible, and they don't think that their science teacher is curious enough to answer to their questions. That's why they are actually giving you and sending you so many questions. And if you actually is there, I think it may be another 1 hour. They still ask some more questions, some more questions. So definitely, it's. I think my students really enjoyed this session so much because they have got their answers for their questions, and I definitely look forward another session, and that will be a really great session for my students. And because some of the students still away from the June class, and next time I will plan when you are free so that my students will definitely enjoy the session because you are an expert in science. And but I hardly see the teachers having this rare combination, biology and chemistry. I have seen the teachers having the combination of physical science and chemistry, but you are different, biology and chemistry, and it's different. Why is it so?
I've actually taught all the science subjects. I've taught earth science and physical science and physics and chemistry. And so I've been able to teach all of it. So I kind of know a little bit about most of it, but now I only teach biology and chemistry.
Okay, okay, Linda, thank you so much. And
Thank you so much. That was really fun.
and good morning and have a great day.
Yep, you
Bye
should.
for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye.